Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today I am going to be trying to get a 5-star while reading some sci-fi books. I have a lot of sci-fi on my TBR from now until the end of the year and probably beyond. I just have been getting more and more interested in some of the more recent sci-fi that has come out, and I wanted a reason to read some of those throughout the month. So I have decided to give you guys a sci-fi vlog. The purpose of this vlog is really for me to dig into some sci-fi reads that I think are just going to be excellent. So I'm going to be searching for a 5-star. I'm not going to say that this is a read until I get a 5-star because I don't want to stress myself out. I just kind of want to have a good time and pick up books that I really do think I'm going to have a fantastic time with. So I am actually recording this at the end, and I can tell you that I had a good time in this vlog. That's all I'll say. I don't want to spoil anything. So we're going to move on to past me, and I'll let you know what my first book will be. We are starting with a banger, guys. I have decided to start this vlog off with an author that I have enjoyed in the past but hasn't been my favorite. And I went into this blind. This is Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey, and M.R. Carey also wrote The Girl with All the Gifts. This book I did really enjoy. I can't remember if I rated it like in the 3-star range or if it was in the 4-star range. If it was a 3, it was probably like 3.5 and above, and if it was a 4, it was probably 4.25 and below. I'm pretty sure I gave it in 3 stars. And I really loved where the book started, but I didn't like how it progressed. It went down a path that I had seen before and that wasn't as exciting as I had made it out in my head to be, but I really did enjoy kind of the writing style and wanted, to try the author again. So I did pick up Infinity Gate, and I'm currently at 30%. And I'm glad that I honestly didn't do a vlog update before this. I was gonna do the intro clip and like talk about the first book that I was gonna start, but I was kind of dragging my feet on it, and I was like, I'm just gonna start it and see like where I'm at. And I don't know, I still haven't read the synopsis to this. I don't know if I would have been able to understand what was really going on just by reading the synopsis because so much has happened, but I am really enjoying it so far. So as far as trying to get a 5-star, this is still in the realm of possibilities. It's not like top tier 5-star feels, but I have gotten a couple of points of 5-star vibes, but just kind of teeters in and out. If I were to guess, I'm thinking that it's probably going to end up at a high 4-star, but I am really enjoying it, so I don't mind. And we're just trying to search for good books, good sci-fi books, and I think that this is one of them. If you haven't ever heard of Infinity Gate, as far as the first 30% of the storyline, we are introduced to a character who is telling the story from their perspective in the future, which I love that premise or that narrative style. I like to be given like little sneak peeks into what they know, even though we don't know it, and so we'll get little hints and breadcrumbs throughout the book. I do enjoy that, but it was just a little glimpse of that, and it's some type of AI sentient being that is talking to you about their creation, and they say, well, I can't tell my story without telling you the people who helped create me. And so we start in the mind or in the perspective of a character, I can't remember her name, but she essentially invents teleportation in her world. Her world is dying, there are loss of resources, lots of war, a whole bunch of horrible things happen, and she invents teleportation to other versions of her planet, which is all explained in like a very mathy way, which I thought was very fun and interesting. But we learn about her. We also learn about a person who is in with who I'm assuming is going to be the bad guy. Pandemonium is, I think it's the Pandemonium, is a conquering organization from what I've gathered so far that they control a lot of people. They have these warrior class called the Cellos. So that's kind of all very ominous, and I know that they have something to do with the main character that talked to us in the very beginning. So like I think they talked about pandemonium coming. And so that's why I view it as kind of an ominous thing, plus a couple of events that have happened so far. And then we have a couple other characters that are introduced as well. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think that it's very inventive. I usually don't like a multiverse, or at least I haven't enjoyed multiverse in books in the past, especially if it's the same planet over and over again. But this one's talking about like the different iterations and fractal patterns, and I don't know, I find that very fascinating. So yeah, I'm having a good time, and I don't know how long this vlog is going to be, so I'm going to try and I don't know if I've kept it short or not, but I'm going to try and keep it short from here on out to give you guys like little snippets of things that I'm enjoying. But yeah, I will see you in the next update. I have reached 60% of Infinity Gate, and I feel like so much has happened. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to update you guys on this book because, wow, there's a lot. I will tell you that my favorite thing about this book so far is the exploration of what it means to be a human. We have the introduction within this 30% of a enemy of the pandemonium, and someone that they are not quite equipped to combat, and it throws them off guard because they are the conquerors of the universe. No one has ever kind of stood a chance against them, and they have this essentially machines and AI worlds that they run into that they don't know how to conquer. And within this, we have a discussion of what it means to be human. Do AI eventually reach the point of sentience? And what makes living, like, what defines something that is living? And I really enjoy those conversations. I think they're very well done in this. There's a lot of arguments going back and forth between characters who are on different sides. And we have so many moving parts as well. That's another thing that I enjoy about this. And I just have a feeling that all of it is going to come down to our pivotal moment where our narrator, who is telling the story of their creation, I feel like all of it's gonna come into like a nice little bow. Maybe it doesn't, but I love stories that do that, that can throw as many pieces at me as they possibly can, but in the end, it just makes a beautiful story. I find that fascinating. I would love to be in the mind of an author, or even the office of an author, if they have like maps on the wall of like where all the pieces fit together. I love books that do that. I also have enjoyed the world building in this book, if I can call it world building, universe building, because we don't just have humans in this. We have discussions of omnivores and herbivores and all these different types of world. We have the mother mass world that was essentially a bunch of microbes that created one big ball of mass that didn't want anyone to mess with it. It's much more than that, but like there are so many different worlds out there. There are so many different ways that the Earth, our world, evolved in different directions depending on pivotal points in their timeline. I really enjoy it. I think it's very fun. We've had two characters that we've met recently, Dulcie and Paz, who are two young girls that are in school, and we get to learn a lot through them in what they're being taught, what propaganda they're seeing, different things that are going on in their school life. You also have like the similarities that they would have in our world as well, bullying and things like that going on, someone being very lonely and not understood by their parents. There's so many discussions being had. I find it all fascinating. So I am intrigued with how the story's going to end, because I feel like we have so much to cover in the last third of the book, but I am excited to find out where it goes from here. I feel like there is a lot to cover in the last 30% of the book, and I do have faith that the author can do it. I just don't know how everything's going to come together, and I'm excited to find out. So I will talk to you guys when I have finished the book and let you know if this was a successful, I think it's going to be a successful read regardless, but whether or not it actually is a 5-star read. Here for my last vlog clip for Infinity Gate. And guys, this was a roller coaster for me. So I rated this a 4.5 star. I'm not going to tell you much about the end because obviously it's the ending of a story, but I will tell you that a lot of our characters end up kind of in the same place, which is, I like that. I don't know why. That's something that I really enjoy, kind of seeing stories converge. And I will tell you that I had a conniption fit when this book ended because it ends on a cliffhanger. So if you don't like cliffhangers, it's probably not a series for you. Although I do think it's only a duology, and so you could go right into the second book, which is really what I probably should do, because I was so mad when this ended. I thought this was a standalone. I don't know why I had that in my head that it was a standalone, because it's very, very clearly marked on Goodreads, and like when I checked it out on Libby, like it says like first in a series. So I don't know why I had it in my head that it was a standalone, but I was thinking that all my questions were going to be answered, that I was going to know, you know, the things I wanted to know. I'm not even going to tell you what I don't know because I don't want to ruin that part for you, but it ended and I was like, what? This is ridiculous. And I was fuming. I even went on Goodreads to find some like 1-star reviews because I was like, surely someone's going to hate the fact that this ended this way and blah, blah, blah. I was so mad. And when I got on Goodreads and I see like the little Pandemonium, you know, #1, I was like, oh, never mind. Guess I shouldn't be angry. And so it was, honestly, even if it was a standalone, it was still going to be in the 4-star range because I enjoyed the story so much. But being that it is a series, I moved it to a 4.5 because I do think that it's quite engaging, entertaining for such a long book. I read it in a breeze. Like it didn't feel like a long story at all. I never felt bored. There was always something happening, moving parts, and I really got to know the characters and really loved the relationships that you get to know about, the people that you get to hate, and the conversations surrounding humanity, the difference between, you know, what makes something sentient, like who should be able to define something that is alive. So yeah, I really like this. I'm excited to continue on with, I think the second one's called Echoes of War. That one won't be in this vlog. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I'm going to give myself a little bit of time. There are some options. I'll just throw out a couple. We'll see if like future me is like, why did you do that? Because I didn't end up reading any of those. I do have Automatic Noodle. It just came in the mail. I don't have it up here with me or I would show you guys, but so I have that book and it's very, very tiny. So I might read that. I also have heard good things about Orbital and I have that on my Libby. So I could read that. I could read Tell the Machine Goodnight. That's a book by Katie Williams that I've been wanting to read. And then there was another one that was on my list, but anyway, it'll be another sci-fi book. I will come back with you guys with an update as soon as I pick whichever read I'm going to continue next. I am here to introduce to you guys the next book for this vlog, and I am so stinking excited to get to this book. That is Automatic Noodle. I purchased this, I pre-ordered it without actually having read it, which I don't ever do, but the cover called to me, the storyline called to me, and I just had to. It's very, very short. So I wanted to update you guys because I am already 34 pages in and this is only 150 pages. So I don't know that I'm going to do 3 updates for this book. We'll see how slow I end up reading it or if I just end up flying through it. This story, if you haven't heard of Automatic Noodle, is about some robots who are in a restaurant when they wake up and they realize that they have been asleep for a long time and they're trying to kind of piece together their lives, figure out what happened, and they have their own noodle shop that they end up managing. And I don't want to say much more than that because it is really short, but so far I am enjoying the robot characters that we have. I like the scene that we're setting with this kind of war-torn environment, and I like the fact that each of the robots is very different and obviously had different, like whoever built them had different intentions. There's also discussions about government in this and whether or not these robots have rights as like human rights. So I'm enjoying all of that. I could see this going one of two ways. I could see me absolutely eating this up and just really enjoying my time, and then I could also see me wanting more from it because of the fact that it's a novella. That's the only thing about the story that makes me a little worried, is that it's not going to have as much substance or go in as much depth as I would like because of the fact that we don't have the page count to do so. So we'll see, but I have high hopes. I have finished Automatic Noodle. I am going to rate this a 4.25. So not a new favorite, but one that I really had a lot of fun with, and I think I could enjoy it even more upon reread. I do think that this struggles from what a lot of novellas struggle with for me, is that I just want more. I want to kind of dive into the nitty-gritty of these characters' lives. I would love to see more backstory for all of these robots. We do get their backstories throughout, and like the pivotal moments that influence their behavior and their thoughts and processing now with the restaurant that they've opened. But I would like to see even more because it's just so good. Probably my favorite character in this entire story is Stay Behind, and I'm not going to tell you too much about why that is, but there's a backstory for his character that is just absolutely devastating, and I wish that we could have seen more. We get this really pivotal memory. If you guys have read this or plan on reading this, just think about the fact that at some point in time, there will be a memory that Stay Behind provides you. And that's all I'll say. That I just think I would have loved to have seen even more of, not necessarily that memory, but the people that were in that memory of his, and just his process of being a military bot. As you do know, at the very beginning of the story, you get some of those as well, those memories as well. His character, but also like I really enjoyed the kind of plight of the robots and them throughout this entire story. The story encompasses a struggle for rights and for autonomy and being able to make choices and live in a way that you would like to live, and the struggle of that. So I really appreciated the conversations throughout the story, and I'm really glad that I read it. Not a 5-star, but still a book that I really enjoyed. I do think that I have my next read. I have a whole bunch of sci-fi books that I want to read for this vlog, but due to timing, I'm not sure that I'll be able to get to all of them. I think my next one is going to be The Deep Sky, which is by an author that I've loved in the past. I really enjoyed The Stardust Grail, and I can't remember the author's name, so I'll make sure and put a picture of The Stardust Grail and The Deep Sky up on the screen. And The Stardust Grail was a 4.5 star, and it's a book that I would like to reread, and I almost chose rereading for the vlog, and I might still, but I think I would like to try The Deep Sky because I have been telling myself that it's a book I want to read. I have no like inkling of what this book is about. I just know the author, and I know I've enjoyed their rating. So I've also heard really great things about it. I'm pretty sure The Deep Sky was on the Goodreads Choice Awards the year that it came out, and I think it might have won. I don't remember. I also said this about the Hugo Award, so apparently I just have really high expectations for this book. So I think that will probably be the book that I come back and update you next, but I don't know, I might surprise you. I'll see you in a minute. I am here with another sci-fi book for you guys, and I had to sit down, I had to make myself sit down and talk to you because I'm already 64% of the way in. So, oops. That is The Deep Sky. I absolutely have enjoyed my time so far, and I went into this book blind. I can say at this point in time I have gone in and read the synopsis just to see like if I agree with how it was described, and I have a little bit of a bone to pick. If you haven't heard of The Deep Sky, you are following a journey from the Earth. You have 80 individuals who were put on a ship and shot out into the space, you know, the universe, to eventually find another planet. They have like a trajectory, like a planned path of what they are intending to go to. and something happens along the journey. There's an explosion that causes them to kind of go off course a little bit, and you're following events of the crew trying to figure out what caused this explosion, if there was someone at fault or someone to blame. And when I go back and read the synopsis, this book is described as a sci-fi thriller. And I don't get those vibes at all. I would describe this as a sci-fi mystery, with probably the caveat of the main focus is definitely sci-fi. It's definitely also cli-fi as well. They do discuss environmental needs and catastrophes that are happening on Earth's surface while this journey is going on. But I think there are some pretty good mystery components within this story, because you do have our main character, Asuka, who is tasked with solving this mystery of what happened. Why did this explosion occur? And who's at fault or to blame? And there's like investigative pieces, like she's questioning people and putting pieces together in her head. I don't think that's the strongest component of the story, but I would not call this a thriller. And I don't know if that's just me, like, because I'm not a fan of thrillers, and so I don't know if I'm being a little prejudiced against the word, because I typically don't enjoy thrillers, and I am really enjoying the story. But I think for me, a thriller has to have suspense, be fast-paced. I feel like there has to be a lot of, I guess, tension in the story, and I feel, I don't know, I don't get the same vibe in this book as I would from a thriller. And I haven't read a thriller in a while, so maybe the thriller genre has changed. But I feel like this is a slower paced, it is high stakes for sure. Like, we do have a group of individuals who could very well, this could lead to their demise if things don't go as planned, or if they're not able to fix things. But I'm not terrified, or I don't feel as though everything's going to collapse at any point in time. Like, anything could happen right now. Which I kind of feel like I would have to if it was a thriller. So that's my little, I don't know, offshoot on the synopsis. The fact that I think it might be not marketing the book correctly, although a whole bunch of people enjoyed this book, so it obviously reached the correct audience. But I really enjoyed the flashbacks in this storyline. So as I said, we do follow Asuka, and with the backstories that we get, we are following memories that Asuka has in the process of the people being selected for this journey. And so we get to see them from a very young age. I don't want to give you too many details, because I don't know exactly, since I've read 64%, I don't know where everything is revealed to you. But I will just say that. So there is a dual timeline. Our main character, we are following her past and how she was selected to be part of the crew for this journey among space. I don't know, I really like it. I think that it's not what I was expecting, because I didn't really have a lot of expectations, but I don't think I was expecting it to be as, well, I guess I don't think I expected it to be mystery at all. I really was just expecting this to be a straightforward sci-fi mission. And so I didn't know there would be an investigation within the storyline, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I just wanted to sit down and give you guys a quick little update before I finish the book. So this will only get 2 updates, and we'll see if I can squeeze in another sci-fi book after this one. So I'll talk to you in a bit. I have finished The Deep Sky, and I have decided to rate this a 4.25. So not quite the 5-star I was hoping for, but I did still really have a good time with it. And I think that I'm even more excited for this author's new release coming up called Salt Crop. It comes out in September, because I do think that I just jive with the writing style of this author. So let's talk about the end of The Deep Sky and why this didn't receive a higher rating, because I can't remember if I said this when I talked to you guys last, but I was really thinking that this was going to be not a 5-star, but a high 4-star. So 4.5, 4.75. And the reason that it didn't end up getting high marks. And this is still a really good rating. I really did enjoy this book. But between like the 75% mark and the 85% mark, there are a lot of things that happen in this that do make it seem very thriller-y. So I do remember talking to you guys about that, about how I think it should be deemed a sci-fi mystery, and I still stand by that in the beginning of the book. But I now having the whole picture, I do see how there are pieces that could be perceived as a thriller or that are thriller-y. And because that's just not really the type of book that I enjoy, that part, like that 10% of the book, and it was only about 10% of the story, I was just kind of like, I was kind of bummed. I was really like hoping that my rating didn't like drop below a 4-star, because I was kind of thinking that like it was going to be some explanation that I just wasn't going to enjoy, and I didn't like where the end of the book was going to go, but ended up turning a corner. And it did go back to what I would consider a mystery, and getting the clues, having things explained in the end. But just that one kind of piece of the book, and I do think perhaps upon reread, I would increase my rating because I know what happens now. And I do, for a matter of fact, know that there are breadcrumbs that I missed in this that are explained in the end that I do think would be really fun to reread. So a 4.25, still an amazing rating. I really did have a good time, but because of that little section where I had a little bit of a lull and was disappointed with where the book went, that's what ended up lowering it to a 4.25. What I really enjoyed about this book is how accessible I think that it is as a sci-fi story, because this is 100% a book that focuses on space travel, because that's where we are for the primary story that is happening. We are on a space shuttle that is traveling across space to get to a new planet. But it isn't focused so much on the science or the technology. I don't feel like it's super dry in that manner. Instead, we focus on the character relationships, which I do think is really helped by the dual timeline in the story, which is odd because I have found a lot of dual timelines recently that I really don't like, that I always like one timeline better than the other. And in this one, I don't think I ever felt as though when I was in one timeline, I wanted to jump to the other. I do think that the mystery is the guiding force in the story. So that is definitely where I wanted to be. But I feel like the backstory provides enough context for what is happening in the future that I still enjoyed being in the past timeline as well. So yeah, I think this was a win. Unfortunately, I still don't have a 5-star. And while the whole purpose of this vlog isn't, I'm not going to read until I get a 5-star, but I was trying to get some sci-fi 5 stars under my belt. And it's almost time for me to edit the vlog and get it posted for you guys. I have a little bit less than a week left prior to this video going live. And so with time down to the crunch, and I want to be able to have a 5-star, and on my TBR for the month of August, I did say I was going to reread one book. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I am going to reread a favorite of mine from this year, and that is The Last Gifts of the Universe. This was a 5-star. Currently, I think this might be my favorite book of the year. I haven't looked at all my 5 stars to see if this still holds the top slot, but it definitely is up there. And so I'm very, very excited to reread this. It is very rare that I reread a book the same year that I read it, but this one has just been on my heart, and the audiobook just came in. So I'm going to immersively read this, and it's very short, so I probably will only give you guys a couple of updates, but this way we can end on a bang. So this will be my next read. I will update you guys when I can. I am currently at 44% of my last book for this vlog, The Last Gifts of the Universe, and guys, I'd forgotten how much I love this book. I was a little worried going into it, thinking that maybe the first time I read this, it was a little bit of a fluke. Not that I wouldn't enjoy the book, but would it be a 5-star upon reread? And I don't know how it can't be a 5-star. This book is absolutely fantastic. It does cats the way I like authors to do cats. But before I get into that, let me just talk about the story if you haven't heard me talk about the last gifts of the universe. You are following a brother and sister traveling through space, and they are trying to find answers to this mass destruction that they have seen of every civilization. Every world that they come across is just utterly devastated. There's no life left. It's just gray world, no water. Like, it happened in an instant. Like, it looks like things are frozen in time. And they are worried that this thing that is out there in the universe that has destroyed dozens, hundreds of planets that they have explored is eventually going to come to their planet. And so they're trying to find any scrap of evidence, of information that they can gather from these lost worlds to help their own planet. And in the mix of things, there are also some people in the universe that, instead of searching for answers because they would like to help, they are searching for answers because of money. And so you have those entities that are also incorporated into the story that add this like beautiful frustration that I get whenever I really get into a story and really connect with characters. I will have this impulse, I guess, to live with them in the injustice and the frustration that they have during circumstances, and I have had that happen multiple times. The brother and sister duo who are trying to get answers because they would like to help their home planet also have a cat named Pumpkin who travels to these planets with them. And Pumpkin's a little bit smarter than an average cat, but he doesn't talk. He does have quite a personality though, and there's just a couple of scenes where Pumpkin tries to attack something that is dangerous, and he's in his little astronaut suit and he's just batting it with his little astronaut suit or like head bumping it with his astronaut suit. It's just the funniest thing ever. I love him. I would die for Pumpkin, and I want a space cat. Maybe I can get a little astronaut suit for Andy. But anyway, this also deals with a lot of topics I love in sci-fi. I love the discussion of legacy, of what it means to be human. I also love a grief storyline. And in this, at 44%, I haven't gotten a lot of it yet, but there are these rumblings of this grief that our main character has. And I'm not going to tell you too much about that because, like I said, I am 44% of the way in. It's a pretty short book, and I want you guys to experience it the way that I have. There also is a journaling aspect to this. I'm not going to tell you too much about that because it's a slight spoiler, but I love the way the audiobook is done for this because it changes the way, like there's a sound or like it's almost like a mechanical sound for the journal entries that we get to hear. And I really like that. So much to love about this book. I read the 44% in one day. I didn't know if this is going to be a sprint or a marathon, but I'm so excited. I just can't stop picking it up because I'm having such a great time. I imagine this will be a comfort read at this point, that I will pick it up whenever I need, a short book that just means so much to me. But yeah, let me stop blathering on and I will get to the end of this book and tell you that we have a 5-star for this vlog because I can't imagine it being anything different. I'll see you guys in a bit. I have finished the last book of this vlog, The Last Gifts of the Universe, and guys, this is a 5-star. I knew it was going to be at the end of the last clip that I talked to you guys about, and that was yesterday. I did read this in 2 days, and I already want to reread it because I did actually just listen to it on audio. I was going to immersively read it, but I have had a lot of driving time within the last couple of days, and so it's kind of been my car companion with me. And what do I want to tell you? I love the ending, and I don't think that this ending is going to be one that is satisfying for everyone. So I guess I would warn you of that. I obviously can't tell you why it's not satisfying, but I think it's very realistic, and I love the quote-unquote moral of the story that kind of goes with it. The messaging in this book is just very, very me. It felt as I can't remember if I said that the first time I read this. I think I read this during Get a Clue at the very beginning of the year was that February? And I remember thinking this book was written for me. And that's how this felt. So this is absolutely a 5-star. I am glad that I can be ending this vlog on a bit of a bang. If you guys really love space travel, but you don't want it to be, you know, a quote unquote hard sci-fi, if you don't want to be really focused in on the science, the technology, if instead you are looking for a book that explores humanity in a scope of alien atmosphere and also emotional connections and what that entails depending on, you know, whether or not that person is still with you, you know, reminiscing on old memories with people, moving forward with people, what people mean to you while they're in your lives. And I really love this book for that. And, you know, if you love cats, I would say that you definitely should give this one a try. I had a really great time in this vlog. I will say, obviously, this is my favorite, which I knew it would be when I picked it up as the last book because I dearly loved it the first time. I would say out of the other 3 that I read, I did have a DNF, but I didn't log it here. I ended up reading a little bit, maybe 30%. I don't even know if I read that much of Tell the Machine Goodnight. I will talk about that in a DNF video about why I DNF'd that. That was another sci-fi I gave a try. Out of the other 3 that I did finish in this vlog, Infinity Gate was my favorite. I still have fond memories of how wild the universe was, like the multiverse that was created in that storyline, and I am just chomping at the bit to pick up the next book. Unfortunately, the next book doesn't have an audiobook, which is disappointing because I think the first audiobook was done really, really well. And I think it was, once I got the hang of it, I do think that it was easy to pick up on audio. So yeah, that was my favorite other than, you know, the winner. I am going to have to look and see if this still holds the #1 spot in my like top books of the year, because I'm pretty sure right now it's #1. I don't know if I'm missing any of them because I don't have all of them in my head at the moment, but it's definitely a top contender. But I'm almost positive that it is my top book of the year so far, and it's August, so this will probably be my best book of the year. It's just so good. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed my little exploration into some of the sci-fi books that I thought I would enjoy. I'm glad that I kind of am maybe understanding my taste in sci-fi, even if it is just, you know, for the moment. Maybe this is an era of sci-fi for me as far as the types of sci-fi I'm getting into and really enjoying. If you have a sci-fi book that you have just dearly loved, I would love to hear about it in the comments down below. If you've read any of these books, I would love to chat with you about that as well. If you are not feeling chatty, but you still want to let me know that you're here, leave me a little spaceship emoji or a planet emoji just to commemorate our time with the last gifts of the universe. Thank you guys so much for being here and watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!